grates. You pick the grate up and put this little, it's basically a paper, you put that down and it put the grate on top, then as sediment and water passes through, the water passes through, but the sediment builds up and it keeps dirt and sediment out of the storm drains. It also regulates oil, things like that, that you might get into the stormwater in the village of Peoria Heights. This is all, both of these ordinances are actually good ordinances. We're kind of being forced, more or less, to do this. Everyone else is too. It's just good for the environment. So I make a motion, we pass resolution 2017-04.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Harn.
Second.
Second from Trustee Reichert. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of resolution 2017-04 as outlined by Trustee Harn. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn?
Aye.
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Thank you. By a vote of 4-0, the board has approved resolution 2017-04 as outlined by Trustee Harn. Next order of new business tonight is ordinance 2017-1504, and that will be presented by Trustee Harn.
This is basically just a second part of the same ordinance. I might have got it backwards. Maybe I should have presented this part second, but it amends an ordinance that's already in place. Is that correct?
If I may just add in, Trustee Harn is very passionate and energetic, if nothing else, about stormwater control.
I am.
And so if you will forgive him, it was like trying to hold a racehorse back. I think actually the last thing that he presented to you was the illicit stormwater discharge. And I think the next thing on the ordinance was actually the application for the land disturbance ordinance we had previously approved.
Ah, okay. Well, I've got it all in there. I just don't have it in the right order.
We all knew that, but we just enjoyed listening to you, and
I'm doing my best.
you're doing great. In the end, it's all good stuff.
It's all Clean Water Act from 1972, so it is by time that we fall in line.
The fees that we collect for erosion control, will we keep those or do we kick those?
We keep those essentially to cover staff time for inspections and taking the applications and filing everything and that sort of thing. It's essentially just to offset staff time.
Okay, I guess we do have an engineer we're paying to do all of this paperwork and keep us current and up to date. Correct. That will help cover that. Okay. And there we go.
So we'll make a motion for approval of ordinance 2017-1504.
Please.
Okay. Need a second, please?
Second.
Second from Trustee Mariscal. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of ordinance 2017-1504 as outlined by Trustee Harn. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn?
Aye.
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 4-0, the board has approved ordinance 2017-1504 as outlined by Trustee Harn. Our next order of new business tonight is ordinance 2017-1505, having to do with the lease of the first floor of the Centennial Building. And that will be presented by Mr. Administrator, since Trustee Cumming could not be here tonight.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Allen. This is the renewal of an existing lease that we have. I believe it might have expired. Did it expire already? Okay. It had expired, so we're just a housekeeping issue to reauthorize it or sign it and execute it for another 5-year term. It gives them non-exclusive use of the first floor of the Centennial Building. Top floor of that is used for office space by the village. So same terms and conditions that applied to the original lease on this one.
Okay, and the rate will be $1 per year?
Yes.
5 years, and will expire on February 7th, 2022. And we're still going to hold Bob to making sure he makes that payment to us. Gee whiz.
I'll do that,
We need a motion for approval, please.
I move to approve ordinance 2017-1505.
I have a motion from trustee Reichert,
Second.
second from trustee Carter. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of ordinance 2017-1505 as outlined by Administrator Fick. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Carter.
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 4-0, the board has approved ordinance 2017-1505 regarding the lease of the first floor to the American Legion here in Peoria Heights. So Bob, you're legal again. And again, we thank you for your service and thank you for being such a strong part of our village. We appreciate it. All right, we will now move to ordinance 2017-1506. Mr. Administrator, could you give us some information on that, please?
Thank you, Mayor Allen. These next two ordinances are kind of housekeeping items. So the board passed a singular ordinance that attempted to do what these two ordinances are doing, which is abate a partial portion of the SSA levy and abate all of the bond tax levy. But the county didn't like the way it was worded. They wanted it to be a little more clear, so they had to do what we're doing tonight, which is to separate that into two separate actions. So this ordinance right now is abates the taxes levied for 2016 payable on the bond issue. So if you look at the second page of this ordinance, item number 2, it says the general taxes heretofore levied for the 2016 year in the amount of $180,000 shall be and are hereby abated in their entirety. So every year for the next 20 years, we're going to have a $180,000 bond issue payment. The first 2 years, we don't have a payment. We had capitalized interest rolled into the bond loan, so there's no payment due. And in the following years 3 through 20, if for some reason the property tax and the sales tax generated by Trefskers didn't equal $180,000 and the SSA wasn't in place, which it is, we would not abate this and we would actually levy an additional property tax. But that was the whole point of putting that SSA in place. We'll never essentially have to increase their levy of property tax. So basically for the next 20 years, the village board will be abating, following this same ordinance and abating this every year.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Administrator Fick? Okay, we need a motion for approval, please.
I make a motion.
Have a motion from trustee Carter,
Second.
second from trustee Reichert. Any further questions or comments from the board? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of ordinance 2017-1506 as outlined by Administrator Fick. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Carter.
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal.
Aye.
Mayor Allen.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 5-0, the board has approved ordinance number 2017-1506 as outlined by Administrator Fick. And Mr. Administrator, that segues beautifully into the next one.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. So this is the second part of our tax abatement procedure. This is the partial abatement of the, let's see how it's read here. This is for the SSA. So the SSA is levied in a like amount, $180,000. Again, if we collected no property tax and no sales tax whatsoever from Trefskers, then the SSA would kick in and the owners would be obligated to pay the $180,000. So again, the bond payment is made by the loan itself the first 2 years, so there is no payment due. But if you recall, in the redevelopment agreement, we set up a kind of a reserve fund in the amount of $150,000. So these first 2 years, we're collecting $75,000 each year to populate that account. So we're abating $105,000 of the SSA. So there'll be a $75,000 assessment attached to the Trefskers property tax bill this year and next year. So this ordinance abates 105 of that 180. So again, that's 75,000 that'll be attached to their property tax bill this year and next year.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions at all for Administrator Fick? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of ordinance 2017-1507 as outlined by Administrator Fick. Need a motion for approval, please?
Move to approve ordinance 2017-1507.
I have a motion from trustee Reichert.
Second.
Second from trustee Mariscal. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Carter. Trustee Mariscal.
Aye.
Mayor Allen.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Aye.
Thank you. By a vote of 5-0, the board has approved ordinance 2017-1507 as outlined by Administrator Fick. Final order of new business tonight has to do with the approval of a special use permit, and that will be presented by trustee Carter.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve the special use permit for Otto Meister that is located at 3707 North Vincent Avenue. He's reopening a car lot, and we're allowing not to exceed more than 25 cars at one time there. So I make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion from trustee Carter,
Second.
second from trustee Reichert. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of a special use permit to be issued to Automeister at 3707 North Vincent Avenue as outlined by trustee Carter. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Carter.
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Thank you. By a vote of 4-0, the board has approved the special use permit for Automeister as outlined by trustee Carter. Our next order of business tonight is the payment of the bills, and those will be read by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
After I find him. All right, this represents the expenditures as approved on March 28th, 2017 at the departmental committee. The general fund expenditures are $383,089.97. MFT is $2,469.57, for total village expenditures of $385,559.54. And the waterworks expenditures were $253,959.80.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments regarding the bills as read? Need a motion for approval, please?
Motion to approve the bills as submitted.
Motion from trustee Reichert, second from trustee Carter. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Carter.
Aye.
Trustee Mariscal.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Aye.
Thank you. By a vote of 4-0, the board has approved the payment of the bills as read. Our next departmental committee meeting will be held Tuesday, April 25th at 6:30 p.m. Next Board of Trustees meeting will be held Tuesday, April 18th at 6:30 p.m. Is there any other business to come before the board this evening? Need a motion to adjourn?
Make motion.
Motion from trustee Carter.
Second.
Second from trustee Harn. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at this time, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The ayes have it. Meeting is now adjourned, and we thank everyone for attending, and have a good night.